I cast up. Careful. Oh. Ha. 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 Oh, bye. 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 Beep. Bye. Bye. Oh. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have Duke and Earl, and I want to try some things a little bit different today, mostly just for the video. And when I'm logging, usually I don't use a skid horse. Today I'm gonna make an exception. So because I want to use a skid horse, we need this thing right here. Anybody know what you call this thing right here? It's called a whipple tree. I call it a whipple tree. It could be called other names, but what I call it is a whipple tree. There's a nice hook on it to grab onto the chain, and as you can see, there's a piece right here, and it's supposed to have a big ring right here to grab it with my hand. That's been broken. I do have another one of these. Friend from one of our viewers sent me one, and I could use that, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to use this one here, and it's not very nice to work without that big ring. And either in this video or a video coming up very soon, we're going to go to a blacksmith that I know, and he's going to forge a big ring here so that I can have a handle on this. So that's going to be great. So we'll deal with that later in the video or in maybe the next video. But today I'm going to show you what and why and how of using a single horse. Before we do that, let me get hitched onto this, get this swung around, and I'll try to explain as I go along all the things I've been doing. There's quite a few things I'd like to talk about if I can remember them all as I go along. Brenda's here and she's going to hopefully remind me of some of those things that I wanted to explain. Be careful. Careful. Oop, oop, careful. Oh. But. Oh. So I am going to show you what and hows of working with a single horse, like I said, and so I skid this out, and I'm going to just leave this right here, and I'm going to leave Earl right here. I'm going to tie him to a tree. hey, while I'm doing this, I've been teaching my students at Paul Smith's class how to tie a lead rope so that it's quick and easy to tie and to untie. And what I do is this type of hitch, swing it around like this and pull this through. That way I can just pull the tail and it comes right apart like that. Okay. I call this a farmer's knot. I'm sure there's a lot of different names for them. I'm going to put the tail through my loop there to be safety. And I'm sure there's a lot of names for this type of knot. Let me know if you got some other names that you'd like to call that particular knot, you guys that use knots. I don't know what the actual name is for it, but growing up on a farm, we always called it the farmer's knot. So, skidding with a horse. I used to, when I was younger, do a lot of skidding with a single horse. I started out skidding with a single horse with my dad. When I was still in high school, I would go to the log job when I get done to my one class, and I'd go up in the woods with him, and I'd have to do all of the skidding with a single horse. He had a team that he had on a bobsled, and so I would skid the individual logs to the skidway, and we'd roll them by hand on the bobsled, and that's the way we all logged back then. So I used to do a lot of skidding. I really didn't like it. To me, it was kind of a risky job. We always had kind of high-strung horses when it came to that type of work, and it was kind of, you could get your fingers pinched pretty darn easy in the process. We also had a lot of snow, so we were a lot of times up to our waist in snow, and the horse really had to struggle sometimes to get around because of the snow. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. What am I talking about? So anyways, when I first started logging, I would go to the woods with 3 horses. At times I'd have help, but more often than not, I'd work all alone. And I would, after I got my logging cart, I would just hitch on the single horse behind the cart and go up into the woods. And then when I would skid a hitch with the single horse sometimes hitch directly onto the log, but there'd be times where I wanted that third horse, and that's what I would do with him. But I also had the horse trained so he would always follow us right out to the landing, so that worked really good. For the past quite a few years now, I haven't bothered using a single horse, only once in a while. And I've had quite a few horses that probably would have been really good to be a skid horse, but I really haven't used them much at all. But anyways, when I was skidding, I would just, most of the time, let the horse go on his own and just did voice command, and they did fairly well. Sometimes they went farther than they should have gone, but that's just the way it is sometimes. But most people, when they use a single horse, they will have 2 lines, 2 long lines generally, and they drive from in the back, okay? That is pretty well the way I would even suggest that you do it. I'm going to show you a little bit different way that I used to do quite a bit when I only had 2 horses and not a third horse to go into the woods with. So instead of having the long lines, I would unhitch my tongue, my pole, from the horses, separate the horses, tie one horse to a tree, and then I would just skid with one horse. But I didn't want to bother bringing in my set of long lines, you know, for a single horse. So I would just use the team driving lines, and I will attempt to show you how I do that. I am going to use Duke, and Duke has been logging more than Duke has been logging more than Earl has the last several months, or actually even longer than that. And so he's getting the hang of pulling really good. Now he's always been with Bill. So I feel that Bill is teaching him a lot, but he's relying on Bill so much because Bill's an experienced horse. So he doesn't really know how to pull. And I found that out even the other day. About 2 or 3 days ago, I hitched him up single and I just skidded one log. I just want to see how he would do. And my goodness, he wouldn't even pull the log. It was just a very small piece of firewood. But because of the way I did it, it was so unusual and odd to him, he didn't know what to think. And I grabbed him by the bit and I just led him along, and eventually, short period of time, I got him so he'd pull. But it was just so different, so odd to him. I don't know if I've ever even drove him single before. I must have been when he was very young. But I've never actually worked him pulling anything single. So it was a completely new experience for him. And if you got a new horse, and you're going to start skidding logs with, you might have to just slowly teach him how to pull a log. But that's why I would suggest, if you're going to do this, you just use your regular single lines. The way I'm going is really handy if you're doing what I am doing today. I have just the team here, and I want to just unhitch one horse and just use one horse. So anyways, let me get the lines. So what I do with the lines, is I just tie both lines out to the bit. And then I would tie up my lines the way I would normally tie them up at the end of the day, right here in the breeching. I just loop it through there. So my goal is to drive this horse like this. So most horses have never been driven this way. This is very foreign to them. They don't even understand what I'm asking them to do. So when I first tried it, he just wouldn't even go ahead. It just is so odd to him. Yesterday, I tried him again. I skidded 2 logs with him, and he immediately was way better. Today, let's see what happens. He may be worse, I don't know. But if he hesitates, even yesterday he did a little bit, but if he hesitates, I just drop my lines and walk right up here, and I just grab the bit and I can lead him. And that works really good. But the goal is to drive back here, and then when I go to hitch on to the log, I just slide right back to the single part of the line, like this, grab the whippletree and turn him around, and it works fine. So let me just show you. Okay, so now I'm gonna lead Earl away. Yesterday they bothered a little bit when I separated them, but not too bad. So I'm gonna come up here to where my whippletree is still next to the tree. And even though he's really hardly ever done this, he is, or was, pretty good at it as far as standing. So I'm just going to hitch onto the very end chain. If I want to get more leverage, of course, I would shorten those tugs up, the heel chains up, so I can get more leverage. But I don't need to worry about too much today because I just have small pieces of small trees, but for firewood. So now I would just lead him up to the tree and see what we can do. Give me. Even if I had, whoops, I forgot a chain. Forgot a chain. It's kind of hard to pull a tree without a chain. So a lot of times when I'm leading him, I would throw the chain right on his hame. That way, when I get to the log, the chain is right close to me. I can keep his head at the log and put the chain on. Okay. So we're right at the log. I can grab my chain easily. Right here. Drop it around the log, pull it into place, hitch the hook, and I'm ready to go. So now I'd want to put that hook from the whippletree right on one of these close links to this chain. The further ahead I am, when he spins, the less he'll have to back up. If I try and turn way back too far, then he has to back up, and it's a hill right here, so he has to back up the hill. And I don't really want him to back up the hill, so I'm going to ask him over the head a little bit more. Come here. I'm going to grab my line, Grab the whipple tree. All right. Ha. 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 Oh. As you can see, I slid the lines on this side of his butt to put a little more pressure on the left-hand bit side to swing him over. Then, after a horse gets used to this, you'll be safe to be able to let the lines down and hitch the chain, and they'll stay on there. Right now, with Duke, he's doing wonderful, but this is only his 5th time he's ever pulled a log by himself. So I got to be extra careful, of course. So now we're all hitched up, and I'm going to pull out there and go down through there, and I'll explain what and where I'm doing and why. So I'm going to start by going with the lines, and if he hesitates and doesn't pull, I'll just walk up there, grab his bit, and ask him to come that way, and then I will kind of back around to get him. I want him to get used to me driving in this position. Now you might think, my goodness, that's a dangerous place to be. Well, I tend to disagree. If I had my long lines back there, I'd be back somewhere around that log. And there's a lot more at risk of hitting sticks and coming about and hitting the back of your legs. Having the log swing over and hit you, a lot more risks. Up here, yes, I have a risk of him stepping on me, but I can literally, he's such a short horse, it doesn't work so much. But years ago we had taller horses, and I was just a kid, and I could actually pick my feet completely off the ground and just hold by the lines, and he could just carry me around with his bits, believe it or not. But anyways, I don't recall only one time getting stepped on when I was skidding with a horse. But that was a different situation. It was really icy, and I slipped, and my foot came out from underneath, went down like that, and then he did step on me, and I'd let go of the lines. But, you know, it does happen. But I assure you, you can get hurt back there very easy too. Okay, cuffs out. Come here. Oh. My plan for today, and this is just pretty well just to show you what I do. Like I said, I don't do this very often. It's more for this video too, because maybe there's somebody out there that really could use some tips on how to do this. And but my plan today is to pull this one down here, that next one up there, pull that down through the trees, and end up about the same spot. And then I'm going to go back over there and hitch that first piece of that one tree over there, pull it over here, and I'll take all 3 pieces down with the team. But as you can see right at the moment, my whipple tree is underneath the log. So, and my chain is right down the bottom. So I can't disconnect it. I don't want it to go too much farther because it's going to be too far ahead. So I'm just going to grab his bit, kind of sidestep him over here, and hopefully we can, hopefully we can unhitch it. There, actually, I did it right there. Oh. So I'm going to leave the chain right on it, and I must say this is a real nuisance not having my ring to hold this hook with, but we'll get that fixed soon. But I'm going to grab another chain. Now if this is a well-trained horse in skidding, I would have been able to just leave him right there without any risk of him taking off. And he probably would have been all right even today. But he just doesn't know that much yet. Come here. Yep. Come here. I must say, he's doing very, very well though. So now I'll lead him back up. So here I am at the log. Take the chain off the hames and try to get it underneath the log. So another option that would work really good, and I know a lot of people do it this way, they'll have the logging tongs and they won't bring a chain, they'll just use the logging tongs. And I just got mixed thoughts on that. But for today, I'm just gonna use a chain. It's hard to make a good roll and hitch with logging tongs, and the chain works so much better for that. So whenever I can, I'd rather use the chain. Right, come up here. Oh. So bring it up like that, so we're a little bit closer. Ho, 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 ho. All right, man. Ha, ha, ho. So grab the whipple tree and hope he stands still, and he did, ho. Now, as a horse gets used to this, ho, and you get to that point where you're ready to get the whipple tree, he is just going to know it. And you can just grab that whipple tree, and after a while, you don't even need the lines. You grab that whipple tree, and he'll just turn to the left. He'll just always, as long as you teach him to go always the same way, he'll always turn the same way, which is really nice. So this tree here is quite a lot longer. So I'm going to try and thread it through those two trees right there and go down to that other one. I cast up. Careful. Yep. Oh. Come here. Careful. Oh. 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 Oh.
Do you have to worry going down the hill like this of the log running into the horse in the snow like this?
Okay, that's a good question. If you heard it, Brenda just asked if we have to worry about skidding logs in the snow going down the hill. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not. If you have a decent amount of snow, it kind of helps slow down the log. If you have a really, really slippery trail, then there's times where that log will slide on a steep hill and actually can run into the horse and hit the horse, and you don't want that, of course. So yes, that can be a big issue. Yeah, but that's a big issue on my cart also, with it sliding down on a steeper hill, especially with snow. And the first few trips up, like say the first day going up a new trail, it's not bad at all. But the second and third day, the snow freezes hard at night and it gets really slick. And so logs will slide really easy. So you definitely have to be careful of that at all times. So I'm going to unhitch him. And then it's just a simple matter of hitching him back up under the cart and going about your work. Now, if I had to do this for every single load into the woods, I wouldn't want to do it this way. I would want to have a third horse and leave him in the woods, tie him to a tree, and just have him pull out what needs to be pulled out when it needs to be pulled out. I have thought about doing that because I have enough horses, but for me, usually I work all alone, and it's a lot of extra work to have that third horse, and so I probably won't bother. I enjoy the challenge of using long chains and bunching these small firewood pieces together and to get a really big hitch even when I don't have a third horse. So I enjoy it both ways. As I get older, to be chasing around on the ground with a skid horse, it gets kind of tiring, and if I had a young man working for me, you know, I'd let him do that. But for me, it gets a little much. I'd rather be sitting on that cart. I think he did really good today, guys. I think he has the potential of being a great skid horse in the future. And I like the versatile of any horse. I'd like to have all my horses capable at any time to be pulled off the team and to skid a log that's maybe way into a bunch of trees that I can't get out. And it's just simpler to use one horse. And as long as I have a whipple tree with me, I'm prepared to do that at any point, because these lines, they're driving lines, work just fine. And even when you're on just the one side, you can flip your lines back and forth. If I wanted to go to G them over, I can just pull on this foot like this, and I want to go the other way, I just pull over here with my line, and I can turn that bit that way. So it works pretty good just the way this is. and it saves me the trouble of bringing up my other set of lines. They're probably down in the truck, and it's just a nuisance. Whereas this way, it's a lot simpler. I'm curious if you guys, how many of you guys have skidded with a single horse? What do you think of, do you like skidding the single horse, or would you prefer the team and or on the cart or something like that? I'd love to know more about how you do or how you have done in the past. Any logging, whether it's logs or firewood, you know, how you would go about doing it. Like I said, when I have a trained horse, if I was to do this a lot with a single horse, I would just have the horse trained so he can go on his own. So it would save you a lot of trouble. But you still, unless you have two people, you still got to walk back and forth to hitch them on. So it doesn't really matter that much whether you're driving or not driving. Although if you're in really thick brush or in a lot of trees around, when you're driving like this and you're in this tiny little trail and you're come to this tree, you know, it may not be enough room even. But it's just a matter of dropping the lines, because the way this is set up, if I drop the lines, they're not going to get tangled up on his feet because they're all tied up. If you just have two lines, long lines, and drop them, they're more apt to step on them and break the lines. But when I come to a tree like this, I can just easily let go and just swing over here and grab them on the other side. So I really like to do it this way. Growing up, this is the way I did it all the time, and it worked great. Even though we had a actual single horse, the third horse that we brought to the woods, we would still use this setup because it just worked really good for us. Yeah. So anyways, love to hear your comments on what you think of skidding with a single horse. Tell me some other ways you've done it. This is just the way I do it, and I'm not even expecting a lot of people to do it this way. I just want to give you a glimpse of some other ways like this that might work in your operation, or you know, in whatever you're doing. So anyways,
I'd like to comment that Duke did really good.
he did.
I'm very proud of him, and he's very cute.
And I think Earl would be good too.
And he's standing here so nice.
Yes. And yesterday I had to go quite a ways. I had one tree way up beyond my brush pile, and I couldn't really get the team in there anyway, so it was a perfect spot to practice. So I had to go way up and around to get that log out of there. And it's nice with a single horse because you don't even need a trail. You can just pretty well go wherever you want to go, like between those two trees right there. Not a problem, but I couldn't fit the cart through there. And so there's some huge advantages to using a single horse. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.